Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Hi, my name's Emmy. And I'm, oh gosh, okay. Hi, my name's Emmy, and my teammates are Olivia, Esme, and Megan, who's not here today. And our project is Fulgora, the future of automobiles. So the first thing we did when we were starting with our project was we created a problem statement to help us know the velocity of the problem with carbon emissions and to help us guide towards our product solution. So our problem statement was global warming has increasingly affected the globe. And while there are many contributors to the emission of greenhouse gases, vehicles play a significant role. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, vehicles account for 28% of total US greenhouse gas emissions. One commonly attempted solution has been electric vehicles. However, their methods of charging still rely on fossil fuels. According to Bloomberg, it can take around 1 pound of coal to power an electric car for 10 miles, depending on where you live. Additionally, electric vehicles can take a significant amount of time to fully charge. NPR states that on a standard 120-volt outlet, only a few miles will be added per hour, which can discourage consumer use. So after we developed our problem statement, we looked for evidence that backed it up. So in our justification, we have a diagram from the transportation sector of the International Energy Association from 2014. And you can see that in the economic sector, transportation accounts for 22% of carbon dioxide emissions. And of that 22%, 40% of the transportation carbon dioxide is emitted by automobiles. Furthermore, if electric cars were to be powered by electricity and heat production accounts for 21% of carbon emissions. So since automobiles and electricity and heat production create a substantial amount of CO2, we chose to focus on car emissions in the United States, as well as how to charge an electric vehicle with cleaner energy, which wouldn't produce as much CO2. So looking a little deeper into carbon dioxide emissions from automobiles, this pie chart from the EPA from 2018 further shows how majority of the CO2 emissions from the transportation sector are due to emissions from light-duty vehicles or cars that are used for everyday use. Seeing that the data from the multiple sources and years pointed towards cars as being a large contributor to carbon dioxide emissions in the transportation sector, we decided to focus on solutions to carbon dioxide emissions from cars and which aspects of cars would help eliminate CO2, such as clean-powered electric vehicles. So now here are a few of the prior solutions that have been attempted to reduce carbon emissions from vehicles. So first off, we have an electric and hybrid gasoline electric vehicle. So electrically powered vehicles have been a very popular solution idea, with several companies executing their own takes on them, several which can be seen on the roads today. Though these vehicles can be effective in reducing carbon emissions, they present their own set of challenges. Oftentimes, the batteries on these vehicles are short-lasting and require frequent charging. Gasoline electric vehicles, on the other hand, do a good job of offering versatility to the consumer. When they are able, the driver can use electricity and reduce carbon emissions, but when their battery is dead or they don't have access to a charger, they can use gasoline. And while it's effective in that area, hybrid vehicles can cause the consumer to become over-dependent on the gasoline aspect. So both of these cars are also somewhat expensive, which means that they aren't easily accessible to all consumers. Another previous solution to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from vehicles is a completely solar-powered vehicle. And while the car is successful in reducing carbon emissions, there are problems such as the durability of the car in a potential collision since it's very lightweight. Additionally, this car would not be practical for many people since it is limited in size. There are a lot of improvements that can be made to this vehicle.
Next, we researched compressed air-powered vehicles. Vehicles that operate on compressed air are relatively new to the alternative energy world. While these vehicles are a creative way to reduce carbon emissions, they present additional size and weight restrictions. This means there have to be modifications to size, car shape, materials used, etc. Next, this design works in tandem with electric vehicles. Charging stations, if readily available, encourage the use of electric vehicles rather than the carbon-emitting gasoline-run cars. While these are effective in providing a source of power for electric vehicles, they are often pulling power from a grid that is run on fossil fuels, essentially reducing the positive impact that alternatively powered vehicles have on carbon emissions. Additionally, it can take hours for electric vehicles to charge, which makes them less practical for use. For our solution, we created criteria that we organized into high and medium priority. Global environment is one of our main priorities because the goal of our solution is to reduce carbon emissions. Most electric charging stations require energy from power plants or fossil fuels, so we intend to use alternative energy sources such as solar power for electricity. Our next high priority criteria is accessibility. A significant problem with electric vehicles is how inaccessible charging stations are. These vehicles might be accessible for short distances, but not for long road trips or extended hours in the car. Because of this, the public might not be as inclined to give up a gas run vehicle when gas stations are more widely available. Greater accessibility to charging stations would mean that the public would feel more comfortable purchasing electric vehicles, which would overall lead to reducing carbon emissions. Next is operating environment. The charging stations shouldn't erode or easily break. If they are broken or need constant maintenance, people won't be able to charge their electric vehicles. Therefore, they must be built to withstand the environment and have all the materials conveniently safe in the design. Finally, we have safety and legal requirements. Safety is of a high importance no matter what. Our design will be sturdy and well built. Legal requirements should be followed. If our solution cannot meet these high priority criteria, it will not be successful in reducing carbon dioxide emissions from cars. While our high priority criteria is our focus, we also have to consider our medium priority criteria. Though it would be ideal for our product to follow all of these constraints, we had to consider that it might not be possible to do so. First, we have materials. It is important that we use the most safe and efficient materials for our internally powered charging stations. The solar panels, batteries, chargers, etc., must be sturdy enough to last in outdoor environments. If possible, the materials should be economically feasible so that the product is affordable for our target audience. Next, we have service life and maintenance. When our targeted audience purchases the solution, they want an affordable product that will last them a number of years and be reliable. A longer product life will also help reduce the negative environmental impact of producing and consuming more materials. Next is size and weight restrictions. In order to be attractive and easily implemented, the size and weight of our product must be considered. The charging station will be stationary, so weight won't matter as much because it doesn't need to be portable. Size is more important because the charging station will be in public and shouldn't be too large to where it's an inconvenience. When searching for a charging station solution, customers want something that is going to be aesthetically pleasing as well as functional. Customers don't want a product that makes their property look unattractive. A design that is appealing to the eye as well as functional will encourage more use, meaning less carbon will be emitted.
Our potential stakeholders for our product include companies and manufacturers who heavily influence the electric car industry. Companies such as Tesla, Volkswagen, Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi could be potential influences for our design, as they could be manufacturers or distributors for us. More companies could be included, although these three are currently leading the market in electric vehicles. Other prospective stakeholders include rest stop companies such as the Flying J and hotel chains like the Hilton. Implementing our charging stations through these companies will help to make them more accessible, especially in situations where you are far from home. Being able to make stops off the highway and to charge your car or to charge it overnight at hotels would make the use of electric vehicles much more broad. These are some of our initial ideas for alternative electric car charging stations, and they are still in the early stages but need to be further explored. This solar panel powered electric vehicle charging station allows for the reduction of carbon commonly used by electric charging stations that are often powered by fossil fuels. By using an alternate source of energy to provide electricity or energy to electric vehicles, we are able to reduce the carbon footprint. Another take on the same idea but different presentation is this design that involves the solar panels in producing energy for the electric vehicle directly. As stated before, most electric charging stations run on fossil fuels and power plants, and therefore the new and improved charging station helps to reduce the carbon emissions from electric vehicles. This design essentially combines some of our earlier versions and adds some new features. The alternatively powered recharging station for electric vehicles. It is designed to be publicly implemented and available at places like rest stops, hotels, and maybe even grocery store parking lots. We're currently planning to make it solar powered with considerations of adding wind power for an additional energy source. Additionally, we want to decrease the amount of time it will take to charge a car through technology used for superchargers. This would be a way to produce energy through wind at night and during less bright days. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to our presentation.